What is up, everybody? I'm a Valentine here. Welcome back to my motherfucking ASMR channel. Um, Thank you for tuning in. I think something just solidified in me that I'm just gonna curse a lot on this channel. Like, fuck it. Like, literally, fuck it. Like, fuck it. Fuck it. Fuck it. Fuck. Guys, I'm having such a serendipitous motherfucking night. Serendipitous motherfucking night. There are no rules. They're all created in the mind. Anyways, welcome back to my motherfucking channel. I feel so happy and thankful that I'm on the right path right now. And I was thinking, like, man, I just need to make an ASMR. I was about to read my book that I'm reading right now. Which, guys, like, you know how we always say we're all connected, right? And of course, there's plenty of times where, like, people will lead you down the wrong path. So, like, don't follow absolutely everything. But there's sometimes where, like, when you just listen to the shit, like, people around you are saying, when they're, like, aligned as people, like, they align with your values, the things that they're talking about, the conversation aligns with your values. Like, when you're in that sort of flow state sort of thing, flow adjacent, like, shit starts fucking coming together, okay? And there's definitely some discomfort in not forcing things, you know what I mean? And then, like, trying to figure out the turning point between, like, not forcing it and still persevering. But anyways, I am reading this book called Who's Afraid of Gender, recommended by the beautiful Lena. Wow, I'm not even 20 pages in. Let me just read you a couple things I've highlighted so far. I'm 28 pages in. She's smart, y'all. This book has some big ass words. In fact, I'm gonna read you that first. This word that I found today that I purposely Googled and wrote down the definition so that I would remember, because I was like, I'm gonna learn something. Internecine or internecine, I can't remember. Internecine, destructive to both sides in a conflict. Bitch, major key, bitch. Internecine, bitch. Fucking destructive to both sides in a fucking conflict. Like this internecine ass motherfucking war, bitch. Fuck that. We don't fuck with that. I keep seeing all these videos that are talking about how, like, it's not us trying to go to war. Like, it's the people that are fucking bitch. Bitch. Like, oh my god. And they're like trying to fucking take away the things that actually make America great. Like, the Constitution saying that we have the right to freedom of speech and shit. Like, fuck. It just shows you how, like, not progressive a lot of the world is, and how, like, even the foundations that were built upon, like, our style of government, and, like, it's still fucked up. Niggas still moving crazy. Like, everybody else has to follow the law except you, bitch. Fuck you, motherfucker. Fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Type shit. God. Sorry, guys. Wasn't expecting to say all that. God forbid a bitch be controversial on a random ASMR that has nothing to do with what she's talking about. Anyways, gender critics imagine that their opponents read gender theory as they themselves read the Bible, or blindly accept as they do the pronouncements of their preferred authorities. Can I read that again? It says, the implicit logic here seems to be that if my opponents are reading in the way I read, and reading is submission to the authority of a text or set of texts considered to be unified in their message and authoritative, then gender critics are like their conservative Christian critics, except that each submits to a different dogma it follows that the gender critics imagine that their opponents read gender theory as they themselves read the Bible. Bitch, if jaws weren't fucking dropping already, bitch, fuck is you talking about? By the way, I am starting to realize why college specifically is so motherfucking important, okay? Because there's some things that if I hadn't been in an English class, basic college English course, that taught me about how there are different Englishes and how every English has its own place. If you are a Pacific Islander, or you are from the North, or you're from the South, or you're from Florida, or you're from Texas, you have your own English that is relevant to you and the place that you're from. And your English, the way that you speak, the way that you form your sentences should be respected because it's cultural. And language is about communication, not just following standard text, because when we really get down to it, all this shit was made up. And some people just chose what rules to agree upon and which ones to look down on, and it depends on where you go and where you're at, where your hierarchy stands, and how accepted you are or not. So when they were in there in that English class talking about AAVE, African American Vernacular English, something about that shifted my fucking worldview a bit. I was like, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Because there's a demonization of us in general, and then there's a demonization of the freedom to just express your thoughts as you wish, as is comfortable for you, even if that's like a part of your culture. And for me personally, I find a sense of freedom in cursing. I love cursing. And there, within religion, I think this channel's just gonna have to be fucking woke or whatever. They tried to take that word and switch it into something which reminds me of something else that I read in this book that I thought was super interesting. I don't think I highlighted it, but like other right-wing movements in our time, the anti-gender movement has borrowed language from the left, including ideology itself, a term that belongs to Marx and Marxism. That's what that just reminded me of, saying woke. And now the like other right-wing movements in our time, the anti-gender movement has borrowed language from the left, like saying woke. They demonize that shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, a bitch can't say anything like the word empathy. Right-wing movements in our time, the anti-gender movement has borrowed language from the left and then changed the meaning in order to allow people to continue not thinking. And it just made me think about how the Bible, and these standards that are given by these pastors that may know the origins of Christianity, may actually have taken a course, may have studied it in school, and yet still choose to perpetuate this shit so that they can own land, they can own their houses, they can own the land that the church stands on, they can collect people's paychecks and not pay taxes on it. Do I think all pastors are bad? Hell no. I think God can come through anyone. I think there's plenty of wonderful, beautiful people that are pastors that truly believe what they're standing on business, and I'm not God myself. I'm not sure to make myself seem like that. Well, what I do know is that I see a lot of churches full of sin. I see a lot of mosques full of sin. I see a lot of places of worship that are full of immoral things going on. And unfortunately, as this book explains and talks about, I didn't know I was going to be talking about this book, so usually like on a video. I thought it would be some time. I thought I would fucking finish it first, but no, we're 28 talks about how people's fear of what could happen gets projected onto a word of gender. And I actually talked to a wonderful human being earlier. Shout out to Emily, who was talking about how you could apply that same thing, the projection of all of these fears onto a word to race. You can apply it to class. You can apply it to like gender, sexual, and orientation. You can apply it to literally anything and everything. And it's just a projection and a culmination of fear without thought and critical thought about the depths, the nuances. You can push it onto anything in a word, anything on a person, anything in a difference, anything outside of a binary, but it was all created for you. And when you continue to accept a religion or a thought or an ideology or these motherfuckers being loud, no, you continue to just accept whatever this authoritarian figure in your life may be. It could be your mother. It could be your father. It could be your father. Okay, it could be your auntie, your uncle. It could be somebody that you trust. But if you continue to accept any ideology without question, without thought, whether it is consistent or not, how do I want to end that sentence? Do I need to end the sentence? Let's continue, shall we? See, I did highlight something on page 6. The word phantasm kind of confuses me a little bit. As far as I understand it so far, I feel like I've read it 50 times already in this book, and I'm like, shit, I know that this has come from somewhere. Like, this is probably something that if you're like an anthropology student or a sociology student, or like maybe even a psychology student, you probably know the word phantasm because it's probably like part of another book or concept that I just haven't been made aware of until I was reading this, so this shit was confusing me. But circulating the phantasm, or kind of like think of a ghostly, fearful thought. That's like the easiest way I can kind of think of it in my head. Circulating the phantasm of gender is also one way for existing powers. This is what I was just talking about. States, churches, and political movements to frighten people to come back into their ranks. I feel like God is making me read this stuff so that I can preach myself. Because I preach. I was in the car with my Lyft driver this morning. Shout out to her. Lovely lady. She complimented my outfit, same one I'm wearing right now. I have not even showered yet. Your girl's a little. The feet be stinking. I'm not gonna hold you right now. Like, the feet stink right now. A bitch was standing all day. Like, all day. Like, anyways, in this outfit, I look cute, right? Thank God. Thank you. She was like, you look so cute. Like, do you always wear your glasses on your nose? And I was like, they're always slipping down. Like, they're always slipping down. I don't even be meaning to, y'all. But she was like, that is so cute. Like, some people, it doesn't look cute when they do that. But with you, it's actually really cute. I was like, oh my, thank you so much. She was like, yeah, you look so cute. Like, oh, thank you so much. Like, made my day. What a wonderful start to the day. You know what I'm saying? And so, God, I need some water so bad. Hold on, I'll be right back. It's the way that I consume lactose, as if I can consume lactose, and then be wondering what my body like is in actual pain, like actual, like my mouth hurts right now. Sound effects. But yeah, she was saying like, you look so cute. Oh, this made my day. 1000%. And then she went on to ask me if I know the feeling of when you walk into an establishment somewhere, you know you're gonna spend some money, and people don't acknowledge you. They act see you, they act like you're not there. And then the person right after you comes in and they're all like, hey, how you doing? Like, how you doing? Whatever. And they immediately greet that person, but they still just act like you're not there. Like, how does that make you feel? And she was saying how she feels like at this point, like, maybe that's just because God doesn't want you to be seen. Like, maybe there's a time where people shouldn't be seen. And then she mentioned how, like, sometimes online, you have the women that wear whatever, you have the men that are hating on women. And that's when I, responded. I was like, I was like, I'm gonna give you my take on it, because she was getting at a broad topic, right? And I said, what you're experiencing is something that you're designed to experience. Like, you not only have the difficulty of being black, you're also a black woman. And on top of that, another layer that's often not spoken about is you're a brown skinned woman. Like, I'm gonna throw around the word intersectionality here, because that's exactly what it is. The intersectionality of being triple stacked, where the world tries to act like you don't fucking exist when you are the mother of all. I'm not gonna get too far into it, but literally, the entirety of the human race can be traced back to the black woman. Talk about mother of the earth, and specifically like dark skinned black women. The layers of oppression and intentional discrediting, hatefulness, negative projection onto them, onto their bodies, like down to the skin. I mean, and I feel like it is absolutely important to acknowledge that, because there is another layer. And even though I'm black, I'm light skinned, and people treat me differently. And it's fucked up. But anyways, I had just said that, like, you have those three layers. She was like, and say it right, I'm chocolate. And I was like, yeah, like, laughing, yeah, like, but it's true. It's like, you have to deal with colorism, you have to deal with being a woman and being black in America. Like, and I was saying, so, like, this whole system was designed in this way where, like, they try to put you at the bottom, but your spirit is not acknowledged. Your intelligence is not acknowledged. They try to act like they don't see you, and it doesn't sit right with you, because you know that that's not who you are. And yet every day you are tasked with trying to still be a light, trying to still act normal, trying to still and it hurts, because you know that that's not right. You know that you deserve to be acknowledged. And I talked a little bit about how, the way this system is designed, like, we always have to be working. I know y'all, I can't get away from talking about capitalism, but we're supposed to be working all the time. We are given these books that have been altered over and over at the hands of white men that used it to enslave and control us, use it to control their wives and daughters, and empower their sons. Currently still using it to colonize land, consolidate power. Yeah, but then sometimes I was saying, I mentioned I'm reading this book. I'm talking about it a lot. I think I'm just flexing because I'm reading it all, and I'm like, bitch, I'm reading. Like, fuck is you talking about? Nigga, we're not the same. Nigga, like, bitch, I'm reading. Like, what you talking about? Like Like, bitch, what are you even reading? Like, I haven't read a book on my own accord in like a fucking year, and I'm like, bitch, I'm reading. What are you fucking talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? Anyways, yeah, I mentioned I'm reading this book, and it's talking about like all of our fear can get projected and used by these people that continue to try to give you the same fucking book that doesn't answer all these questions. And then I said how like my mind really opened when I realized that, there's different things in nature. Like, why are there fish that it starts off as a woman but then it turns into a male? Like, why are the books that we're given not mirroring to us the reality of our actual world, and that the book that we're supposed to use as like our end all be all, basically, like, why does it not include actual science? And like, it's different. And I was just saying how, like, question everything. And then that's when she got in, she goes like, yes, that's what I'm saying, like, question everything. And then she said that, like, for her, like, she definitely had a point in time where she questioned everything more, and like kind of was more into like the politics and like all that stuff when she was younger. And then she said, but she feel like she gave that up, and she feels more at peace just knowing that she believes in God, and like that's where she finds her peace. And I was like, okay, yeah, I got you, I respect it. But she said that there was something else she wanted to say, and she couldn't think of it in time. And I was like, yeah, no worries at all, no worries at all. And I just thought it was interesting because it's like one of the things that this book even talks about. So one of the things I've had to realize within this year, um, is that when we choose to go back to just what we know, which in often cases is the Bible, when we choose to go back to that solely, without questioning it, without thought, we are not using our critical thinking skills. We are throwing away the need to analyze, to understand, for information to be cohesive, for all of it to make sense. There was this beautiful part in here that I know I didn't highlight it, but as a consequence, circulating the idea of gender's destructive power is one way to produce existential fear that can then be exploited by those who want to enhance state powers with the hopes of returning to a quote-unquote secure patriarchal order. The fear is stoked so that those who promise its alleviation can enter as forces of redemption and restoration. It is both produced and exploited in order to rally people to support the destruction of various social movements and public policies understood to be organized by gender. But that wasn't even what I was trying to reach off for real. There was something else where I was like, that's that. That is exactly. It was just so well put. This book is just so fucking necessary because anyone that is homophobic, anyone that hates gay people, is just ignorant. And I don't even mean that in the insulting way. You are genuinely just lacking knowledge. Because if you had knowledge, you wouldn't have the fear. You would realize that the fear is in your mind. The fear of not knowing. The fear of something that you can't quite fully understand. The feeling of something that you can't connect to. It is a show of the lack of empathy in your own heart. The lack of imagination in your own mind. That is what homophobia is. That is what racism is. Unless you are a racist or a homophobic, homophobic wouldn't even be the right word, then you're a fucking hater. Like, unless you're just a hater. If you're aware and then still just willingly and knowingly do it, like harm people, put people in harm's way, you are just a hater. I'm just gonna read this too. You know what? Actually, no, I don't think we're ready. I don't think y'all are ready for that. This right here. It says this. It says it is nearly impossible to bridge this epistemic divide with good arguments because of the fear that reading will introduce confusion into the reader's mind or bring her into direct contact with the devil. Indeed, some who oppose gender do not read books in gender or feminist studies, queer or trans studies, queer of color critique, black feminism, or any version of race theory. They are skeptical of the academy for fear that intellectual debates may well confuse them about the values they hold. I say more, but we're gonna say more. Their refusal to care much about consistency, to base their criticisms on a reading of the text, which is so ironic. It is so ironic because we are often given all of these pieces of text, which there's another good quotable in here that I'm going to read y'all as well. There it is. It's actually the same one. Their way of snatching phrases and making them into lightning rods. That is exactly what I'm talking about. That is why it's ironic. Snatching phrases from the Bible and making them into lightning rods. However, are all finally a refusal to think critically. What does she mean by that? By which I mean, she said, bitch. By which I mean, bitch. At the least, by which I mean their refusal to care much about consistency, to base their criticisms on a reading of the text, their way of snatching phrases and making them into lightning rods, however, are all finally a refusal to think critically, by which I mean at the least exercising the freedom of thought to turn over an issue and examine its presuppositions. I don't know if I said that right. Presuppositions, limits, and potentials. Their refusal to care much about consistency, to base their criticisms on a reading of the text, their way of snatching phrases and making them into lightning rods, however, all finally refusal to think critically, by which I mean at the least exercising the freedom of thought to turn over an issue and examine its presuppositions, limits, and potentials. When this freedom is denied, so too is the crucial contribution that the university and critical thought makes to public debate, where considering different dimensions of a complex issue is crucial to gaining knowledge. We have people that are creating laws about what doctors can and can't do. These people that spend years learning medicine, reading studies, writing studies, conducting their own studies, realigning and reconfirming what is right and wrong for the human body. And yet, the people that are making decisions about the human body are people that have not read about this. Imagine somebody reads the Bible, okay, and they're like, this is all I need, this is all the information I need. And then you have someone that's a neurosurgeon, and then you have someone that's a patient that needs neurosurgery. If you believe in the Bible that fucking much, are you gonna let the person that's only read the Bible operate on that patient's head, on your head if you are the patient? Or would you want the person that is a neurosurgeon that spent 12 years in school to operate on you? You tell me. So then why are we letting people that have no idea what they're talking about, what they're doing? They're not reading critical race theory. They are not reading about feminism. They are not reading about queer gender. They're not reading about sexuality. They're not reading studies. They are not researching. They are not reading about the origins of religion. Clock it. They're not reading about colonialism and the effects of capitalism. They're not reading about any of this shit. They're not reading about law. They're not reading about order, bitch. But subjects out of context. And then making laws about what you and neurosurgeons and doctors can and can't do. Does that sit well in your spirit? Is it too late to start? Got your heart in it. Is it too late to start? Got your heart in it. Is it too late to start? Got your heart in a headlock. Like other right-wing movements in our time, the anti-gender movement has borrowed language from the left, including ideology itself, a term that belongs to Marx and Marxism. Those in that movement do not consider which theory of ideology they are using, but we are free to reconsider the history to make some firmer distinctions that can help us understand the anti-gender movement as part of fascism. Fascism, oh fascism, oh fascism, and I don't think you know how many people are dying. Oh, don't think you know, no, how many people have already died. Be thankful for your health. And wealth is not just a you problem. Oh, and be nice to yourself tonight, guys. Seriously. And God bless us all. God bless America. Literally, or wherever this place was called before all those white guys came over, stole it, murdered them, raped them, and literally tore them apart, took away all their customs, used their labor, used their people, and then stole my people from their lands, brought us here, built them their heaven, their empire that they're currently enjoying to this day, while we are still fighting for our freedom on a day-to-day basis. They play around with it like chess pieces and toys while they're sitting pretty and they're good and they get to live healthy, holistic lives. Thanks for coming to my ASMR channel. Please subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.